Buy now, pay later options are booming, with large retailers getting in on the trend. It's becoming easier and easier to pay for goods, and it's an increasingly popular choice. Joining us today to talk about the pros and cons of buy now, pay later is Tamara Beaver from SchoolsFirst Federal Credit Union. Tamara, always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
I love my Wednesdays.
I know. We have fun on Wednesdays.
We do.
So could you give us a broad overview of what buy now, pay later is?
Absolutely. So I'd be really happy to. Buy now, pay later is actually a payment option that has been available for a really long time. In fact, according to Bloomberg, it's been around since the 19th century and started with sewing machines. The Singer sewing machine, you could buy it for $1 and make a weekly payment of $1 and walk away with your machine. So, of course, technology has kind of modernized that, and it's an option that's available to a lot of us at checkout now, at a lot of our online retailers. And essentially at its core, it's a small installment loan. So it allows you to make a purchase today that you make payments on rather than paying in one big lump sum.
And what do you think makes buy now, pay later so appealing to people?
One of the most appealing things about buy now, pay later is the fact that you get your goods right away. So in contrast to your old layaway plan where you pick a purchase, you make your payments, and you don't get those goods until you pay it off, this, you get your product right away. Also, the budgeting aspect. You can really make a lot of purchases fit within your budget by paying smaller increments. For an example, a $200 purchase today may only cost you $50 with those $50 payments down the line. So you can really fit some purchases that you may not be able to afford into your budget.
I was going to say, we were talking a little bit before the show, and I thought I wasn't familiar with buy now, pay later, but when you broke it down, it's those where you see something, it's kind of a bigger price, so they break it down in prices for you so that it can make it a little bit more affordable. What would you say are the downsides to this?
So because of that pay now or buy now, pay later amount being much smaller at the time of purchase, it really can cause a lot of consumers to overspend, to potentially purchase something that they normally wouldn't. And so retailers actually bank on that fact. They know that you're going to spend a little bit more than normal because it's broken down into payments. So that's something to be really mindful of. Make sure you're really paying attention to your purchases. Another downside is that it doesn't really have a positive impact on your credit. So you are doing a loan. It does show on your credit, but on-time payments don't affect your credit score. However, on the flip side of that, if you miss a payment, it actually does impact your credit. So it can harm your credit, but it doesn't help your credit. And then another thing is returns. Returns can be really kind of muddy and tricky because the merchant has to speak with your provider. It can take some time and delay the process of you getting your funds back. And so you're still responsible for making those payments while that's getting figured out.
Okay, I'm learning so much. I didn't know on-time payments don't affect your credit score, but if you miss it, that's when you start seeing that change.
And then you may have some penalties too, and you just want to stay away from all of that.
Steer clear from it. So what are some tips we can use to determine whether buy now, pay later is a good fit when it comes to purchases?
So we want to make sure we're always safeguarding our credit, right? And that we're really paying attention to our budget. So the first thing you want to consider, is this a purchase you would normally make? Or are you purchasing something larger than you normally would because of the smaller payment structure? You also want to make sure that you're not making payments, these monthly payments on your credit card, because if you're doing so, you're actually going to pay more interest on your credit card. Because they are so available and so popular, you can also have multiple buy now, pay later loans through different providers, and managing those payments can be really difficult. You can't put them into a one monthly payment, so you have to be mindful. The last thing we want is to miss a payment and have it affect our credit. So really pay attention to how many of these loans you have and also the terms. Each provider has their own terms, maybe interest, it may be fees. So make sure you're really familiar with what type of loan you're in before you agree to this type of purchase.
That's good to know. And I know SchoolsFirst Federal Credit Union, you guys have a lot of branches, so if people have questions, they could visit them.
Absolutely. My favorite thing to do is sit down with members. So come in, come see me, ask any of our representatives. We'd be happy to help.
All right. And she's the Fruit Ridge branch manager, so go and
right.
check her out.
Thank you.
Tamara, thank you. And for more information, you can visit SchoolsFirstFCU.org.